Imagine this. Your body packed in ice, your blood replaced with medical antifreeze, and then stored head down at minus 130 centigrade in tanks shared with other similarly frozen bodies. You have no idea, if you wake up, who you'll be and what you'll remember. This sounds like something from a sci-fi novel, but it's here and it is happening. Last week, a 14-year-old girl became the latest child to have her body cryogenically frozen when she tragically died of cancer. The cost at a US-based facility? £37,000. News of the most recent case sent us into a tizzy of ethical soul-searching. We're told this is an exploitative guise to relieve desperate people of thousands of pounds. I don't agree. Those who sign up to cryogenics know there is only a chance of it successfully bringing their bodies back to life. And that's all they're paying for, a chance.
Afua, I mean, I thought you were a sensible woman. I really did. I mean, it's not a sci-fi, it's horror, isn't it? It's really sad, it's repellent.
What is it you find so horrific about it?
Well,
is it the fact that someone like this girl died? Because that is tragic, but that's not because of cryogenics.
No, she died of cancer, and which is very sad. But Afua, newsflash, we're all going to die, and that's it. This idea that there's going to be a hereafter after our mortal remains have gone and our souls have left our body. You didn't mention the soul. What happens to the soul when they put her in a freezer head down?
Okay, let me clarify what I think about this, because I'm not saying that I would like to be cryonically preserved. In fact, I don't think I would. It's easy to say that when you're young and you're healthy, but I'm quite comfortable with death as part of the natural cycle. But what I'm saying is that there are people who want, for whatever reason, feel that when they're dying, they want to believe they have a chance of coming back. I'm saying that is here, whether you like it or not. That technology is already being used. So it's not a question of whether we're okay with it. It's what we do about the fact that it's here.
Can I read out something that Cryonics, which is, I think, the company used, says on its website? Cryonics is a visionary concept, at least they use the word concept, that holds out the promise of a second chance at life with renewed health, vitality and youth. I mean, really, if you believe that, even the people who work there say there's not even a 1 in a million chance.
Is your problem that you think that it is a bad thing objectively to do, or is your problem that you think it's exploiting the wishes of dying people?
Yes, because I want everyone else to talk. I mean, Steve Jobs said something so right. He said, death is the best invention of life. Death is the thing that allows renewal, and it's the greatest change agent there is. Of course it is. We just have to accept it's going to happen.
Just quickly, before I bring everyone else, I just have to say one thing, because we've been talking about the Cryonics Institute, and you read out what they say, but they also do say, and I think very honestly, on their website, when it says, can you guarantee success? They say, sadly, we can't. No one can guarantee success because no one can guarantee the future. No one can predict scientific progress with certainty. And so for me, they're not trying to deceive or exploit people. They're being very frank about the fact this is new technology. No one knows how it's going to evolve. And that's why I'm saying people are buying the chance. They're not buying a guarantee.
It's taken virtually 2 series of the pledge, and finally I agree with Rachel Johnson. We've actually found it. I had to question you on your introduction to this, Afua, because you actually use the words, you wake up. You don't know that you wake up. There's no proof that you wake up.
Imagine.
Well, and the catastrophic damage you do to your organs by taking all the blood out is phenomenal. To pack you in dry ice, I actually researched this, and it's interesting when I did it on the radio show, because most people don't like to talk about death, let's be honest about it. But the calls about this absolutely poured in. So we did a bit of research on it. You will actually burn your skin off in the dry ice they will pack you in. So, and we have no idea what the mental damage will be. So your organs are damaged, you've burnt your skin off, you don't know what sort of brain facility you have, and you'll wake up 100 years from now not knowing anybody. Now, sell that to me as a good idea, because I can't quite see it.
I'm going to tell you what the 14-year-old girl said. She said, I'm only 14, and we can't identify her.
No, this is awful.
I'm only 14 years old and I don't want to die, but I know I am going to. I think being cryopreserved gives me a chance to be cured and woken up. even in hundreds of years' time. I don't want to be buried underground. No. I want to live and live longer, and I think that in the future they may find a cure for my cancer and wake me up. I want to have this chance. This is my wish. I'm not saying I agree with that wish or I would share it, but I think we need to respect the fact nobody can put themselves in the shoes of somebody else who's dying.
This is Dr. Frankenstein, not Doctor Who.
You know, who gets to decide what's science fiction, what's Dr. Frankenstein? Who are we to decide? The science is evolving. It's evolving rapidly. And I don't think it's for any of us to sit here based on our own preconceptions and our own prejudices and our own squeamishness, because a lot of this is squeamishness as well, and dictate other people's choices about their future life.
Yeah, but I find it very difficult to take this seriously, in all honesty. I really do. I'm just thinking, all right, say 1960, you were cryogenically preserved. You come back now. You know, you've gone from John Kennedy to Trump. I mean, God, what a shock. But you imagine you come back after 100 years. You know nobody, there's nothing there. I just find it bizarre. And, there's one or two people I wouldn't mind cryogenically preserving. You know, you're one of them.
But you want to do it now.
Yeah, I'd rather do it now than wait. I think you've got more chance.
I'm actually going to agree with you.
Because it's a business problem.
So what happens if the business goes bust?
I'm looking at it from the point of the mother. So you have a child, and the child unfortunately dies. And like any parent, I can see that there is this glimmer, and I accept it's purely a glimmer of hope, that maybe one day, that maybe she could come back. We don't know. There's no certainty. There's no guarantee. But as a parent, to imagine that there could be that opportunity, I can somehow rationalise why. I mean, from a humanitarian perspective, I don't agree with it. And I agree with Greg. You know, imagine coming in 100 years later, the world's different, everybody's died, you don't know anybody, what state will it be. I can see all of those issues. But I can also position her as a child or the mother and saying, if I could bring my daughter back, it's never happened before. It sounds a bit crazy, a bit scientific, but you know what? I can see why they would do it.
Lord preserve us. If heaven forbid, if your daughter was in a similar situation, would you pay to give her that peace of mind?
Just remind you that, you know, not so long ago, organ transplants were talked about in exactly the same way. People said it's Frankenstein. You know, they said you're going to be a different person if you have somebody else's lung or heart.
Hold on.
Now they
show me where they've
lives.
successfully brought a pig back from the dead. Because all of that they tried with animals, with pigs and mice. When you show me a mouse that's been brought back from the dead, or a pig, then I'm with you.
It's clear that technology and that science is not there yet. But the point I'm making is that things advance at a rapid change. And do you know what? The problem I have with everything that everyone is saying, except for James, who I'm delighted agrees with me, the problem with what you are all saying is that you're kind of digging your heads in the sand, right? And so we have a situation where, take this 14-year-old girl, the Human Tissue Act doesn't apply because when it was written in 2004, no one envisaged people would want to be cryogenically frozen.
And it should be
NHS trusts have no guidelines at all whether they're meant to cooperate or not. The bridging company that prepared her body, which is a non-profit organisation, from the judgment, it looks like they made a bit of a hash of it. You know, they weren't very organised. There's no regulation. So there are no rules. The courts are struggling. The NHS is struggling. And instead of us grappling with this, because more people are going to want to do it, we're all sitting here going, oh, my God, it's Frankenstein. I don't like it. You know, get with it. It's here, and we've got to deal with it. Otherwise, there will be genuinely unethical situations arising.
Well, that's, of course, what the judge said. The judge said there's no guidelines for this, and we need some guidelines. And that's dead right. I mean, clearly you need somebody to look at it and say, look, do we accept that people can do this? I personally can't conceive of how you could approve it.
No, I can't. But I'm just saying, but I don't think we should disrespect somebody.
No, but surely your job as a parent, if you're in that terrible position of you've got a child with a terminal illness, surely your job is not to offer them this sort of hope.
Did you not? If you read the judgment, this 14-year-old girl, the judge said she had a very strong mind. It wasn't an idea that anyone else had given her. She'd been researching it independently. She felt independently that's what she wanted to do. So actually, you're not talking about a parent not giving them the idea. You're saying that a parent should say to a dying child who's decided independently that this is what they want, you can't have this thing that you've pinned your hope on. I mean, would you feel comfortable with being in that position?
I would say my job is to help my child go through this terrible experience. But I mean, it's not to say, oh yeah, you'll be all right, we'll just freeze you and you'll come back in 100 years' time. It seems to me it is fantasy world.
Well, nobody's saying she is going to come back, but there may be that glimmer, that minute chance.
It's a chance.
We will end it there. This is a debate that we'll have to put into deep storage to see if it's thawed at a later date.